How can the 3-time defending offseason champs make it 4 years in a row? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Timmy Talks. Today we'll be discussing moves that have already been made before the official new league starts on Tuesdays, free agents that we should be re-signing, and targets that we may be looking to sign. But first off, let's get right into the Bears cap situation. So before any of the moves got made, the Bears were looking to be roughly over $10 million in the cap. So Ryan Poles' first move in the new league was to cut Amen Obangamega. That freed up $2 million in cap. And then 2 days ago, Bears fans collectively said, "What the fuck?" as they got news that Drew Dalman, our center at age 27, is retiring from the NFL. I'm sure people in the building knew this was a possibility, but to Bears fans, this came out of nowhere. It does free up $10 million in cap space, but it puts a huge hole in the middle of our O-line when we're already having to figure out what to do at the left tackle position. Now there's an additional offensive line position that we have to address in free agency and or the draft. Given that the draft class isn't strong in the center positions, I expect Ryan Poles to make a move for one of the free agent centers. We'll talk about that later in the video. And then we got news that DJ Moore and a 5th round pick were traded to the Bills for a 2nd rounder. I feel like this move unfortunately had to be made. DJ was just being paid way too much for the production that he had in this offense. And with Loveland, Romo Dunze, and Luther Burden, it was a move that the Bears had the flexibility to make. And to be able to get a 2nd round pick while getting DJ's contract off the books was an amazing trade by Ryan Poles. Job well done for him. And big props to Poles by doing DJ right and sending him to a playoff team and potential Super Bowl contenders who have a former MVP quarterback, and he's going to be the #1 receiver in that Bills offense. Just good guy Ryan Poles. I think a lot of people, myself included, were thinking DJ and a couple picks were going to be packaged to the Raiders for Maxx Crosby, but I'm glad Ryan Poles did DJ right by sending him to an actual playoff team and not to another rebuilding team where he'd probably never see the playoffs ever again. DJ Moore, I love the guy. He was our best receiver on a lot of bad Bears offenses. He was always giving it his all, in my opinion. I don't care what you say about the last play against the Rams. That dude went to war for us each play, each game, and I will always appreciate him. He has 2 of the most memorable catches in Bears history. I will miss shouting, "Go DJ, that's my DJ." Every time he makes an awesome play for the Bears. He will forever be a Bears to me. I hope him all the best in Buffalo and that he continues to be the player that I know he is. But it just felt like a move that had to be made to free up cap space and to be able to get a 2nd round pick in return. Job well done, Ryan Poles. And then later that day, Poles also made the pretty obvious move of cutting Tremaine Edmunds. This saves $15 million in cap space. Edmunds was being paid like a top 3 linebackers with only top 10, top 15 linebacker production. He's a tackling machine, but he got exposed in coverage a lot. And to save $15 million for the Bears, this was a move that felt necessary. The problem with this move, though, the Bears now only have Ruben Hippolyte as a healthy linebacker. And so with all those moves, Ryan Poles has now given the Bears $32 million in cap space to allow the Bears to re-sign some players and or go after a couple key pieces in free agency. So first off, we'll talk about the players that we should be looking to re-sign. First and foremost, let's talk about Kevin Byard.
It's our night tonight! We're gonna talk with these fans tonight!
Blasted by Byard!
Who did every play the ground?
Kevin Byard, the league leader, has another one!
It's the reason why we're here!
Deep in the heavy traffic, intercepted!
This sacred fellas!
And that's picked! It's Byard, his 2nd INT of the half!
Unbelievable. Just job well done.
3. 1, 2, 3.
So Kevin Byard's coming off an awesome 2025 season. Byard's going to be 33 in the 2026 season, which is pretty old, especially for a safety. But you cannot undervalue the intangibles that he brings to this team and the locker room. His leadership ability and football IQ are top tier. He's not a huge difference maker in the field, as in he's not going to lock down anyone in one-on-one coverage, but he knows football and he's been playing long enough where he knows where to be at the right time. And I think he'd be a critical piece to mentor the younger defensive pieces that we hopefully get in the draft, and a critical leader that I think having him continue to be on the Bears will be super beneficial for the defensive side especially. His new contract is projected to 2 to 3 years, $8 to $12 million. If the Bears can re-sign him on a 2-year deal, $8 to $9 million, that is a steal. I feel like they might even go up to 10 to 11 for him, but depending on who else Ryan Poles is actually really targeting, that might be even too expensive for the Bears. They might just go get some safeties in the draft. But I think Kevin Byard is the #1 player that the Bears need to resign. They have to bring him back. He should be top priority in my opinion, just because of his leadership skills and his ability to teach younger defensive players to help run Dennis Allen's system. Next up is the safety that plays across from Kevin is Juwan Brisker. Brisker is going to be 27 this upcoming season. He's a young safety who's good in coverage, can come into the box and help against the run. He had his best game last year against the Rams in the divisional round. He was making plays all over the field that game and really putting his name on the map. I really like Brisker. I think he's a versatile safety that can cover, that can help in the run. He's a good blitzer. I think he's really good in Dennis Allen's system. The only problem with him is his history with concussions and injuries. In 2024, he missed pretty much all the season due to concussion. There's arguments that he was actually holding out because he didn't really like Matt Eberflus, which I get it. I didn't either. He's had numerous concussions in a short time in the NFL, but if he is able to stay healthy, he's definitely a top 20, top 15 safety that can potentially become a top 10 safety if he plays like how he played against the Rams all season long. That'd be an amazing player to have on the Bears. He's projected to make $10-13 million a year, so he's definitely someone that the Bears can potentially resign. It sounds like the Bears are letting Brisker go into free agency, see what his market is, and ideally, if he gets an offer that the Bears can match, he'll be re-signed as a Bears. But in free agency, teams can outbid the Bears very easily this offseason, and he might go get a bag and play for another team, which more power to him. By all means, go get your bag, Brisker. That was the last game you played for the Bears. I loved it. It was awesome to watch you, but Poles can't be breaking the bank for Brisker, unfortunately. So for me, those are the two big free agent targets that the Bears probably are going to re-sign. A couple other smaller free agent targets I would like the Bears to re-sign. First is Case Keenum. He's a veteran quarterback that's been in the league for a really long time. He has a great relationship with Caleb. I think it'd be great for Caleb's development to bring back Case Keenum because of their relationship off the field, and having that veteran quarterback presence can only be beneficial for Caleb and to ideally help nourish him into the superstar quarterback that we're hoping that he eventually becomes. Obviously, it's got to be for the vet minimum given his position and his role. Other key piece would be Devin Duvernay. We saw what a dynamic returner can do for the Seattle Seahawks. I think Devin Duvernay is one of the best returners in the league currently, and someone that helped the Bears win a couple games, specifically the second game against the Vikings where he had a huge kickoff return to set up a short field for the Bears to go on and win that game. He also helped against the Packers to set up again another short field to go and win the game. He's a dynamic returner. When he catches a punt and or a kickoff, he can always go to the house. I think he's also a great wide receiver depth piece that we could potentially use now that DJ's gone. He's definitely someone I would like to bring back, but he might get outbid by other teams. And then next is going to be Braxton Jones. With Ozzy's injury, we really don't have a solution at left tackle. We do have Theo Benedict, but Braxton Jones is someone that we could potentially sign to a 1-year prove-it deal, bring him back, have him compete for the left tackle spot against Theo, and given that now he's going to have more time off his injury, given that he got benched and Ben Johnson did not like playing him last year, he might be more motivated to come back stronger and better to earn that left tackle position. Granted, he might also just get signed to another team that's desperate for a left tackle, but I would like to bring him back for a cheap deal just so we can have Theo and Braxton as potential left tackle kind of band-aids until Ozzie gets back. Granted, we don't know how Ozzie's going to be when he gets back. That's the type of injury that players usually just don't come back and be the same player that they were before. Hoping for the best, but with the uncertainty of Ozzie, we need a left tackle that can hold it down for a year or two, and I think Braxton can be that left tackle. Lastly, I think CJ Gardner-Johnson would be a nice re-sign for this Bears defense. He was a great midseason pickup that helped lit a fire under this defense ass. He helped plug the holes that was left when Kyler Gordon went down for a majority of the season, and he's a good player. And he's a player that's been in Dennis Allen's system for a really long time, who can help bring younger players quicker into the fold ideally, and also still make plays on defense. He's not great in coverage. He got burnt a lot, especially against the Packers, and he suffered a knee injury in the wildcard round. So granted, this has to be a very team-friendly deal, but I think he is a player that could be beneficial to bring back for this defense. The last key free agent that I want to talk about is Nahshon Wright. That dude, he's going to get a bag somewhere else. Bears can't re-sign him. Good for him. He had a great season against us. Go get paid, Nahshon Wright. Appreciate your service of the 2025 season. Now let's get into my wish list of free agent targets I think that the Bears could potentially sign and bring in to help make their team better. First off, we got to talk about the guy that everyone's been talking about since Drew Dalman retired, and that's Tyler Linderbaum. Tyler is 25 years old, plays for the Baltimore Ravens, and is arguably the best center in the league currently. He is just super athletic, strong, and does great in the run. He's iffy in the pass, but with Jonah and Tooney next to him, I think that's a solid interior line that'd be able to generate a huge push and massive holes for Swift and Manungai. He is my dream pickup. His camp is asking for $25 million a year, which would be a record-shattering deal for a center. Realistically, I think he's gonna sign to a team for 20 to 22 million, which is also a record-shattering deal for a center. I think he's too expensive for the Bears, unfortunately. He is someone that they can get, but it really limits the amount of free agents that they can sign. I think if you sign Tyler, you don't get Brisker for sure. You probably don't get Byard, and you're gonna have to rely on a lot of team-friendly deals to be able to fill out that defense. He'd be a big upgrade from Dalman, but I don't personally think it's the best move to put all that money into a center when you have so many holes you have to fill on the defensive side of the ball. Realistically, the free agents that the Bears could sign at center is Connor McGovern from the Bills or Cade Mays from the Panthers. They're both projected to make about $12 to $15 million. Connor from the Bills, he's 29, he's older, he's a little stiff, but he's very smart. He's great in the run, he's great in the pass, he's a pro bowler. He'd be a great center for Caleb Williams. Cade Mays got the starting position last year for the Panthers. He's 27 years old, so he's a younger center. He's not as great as Connor, but he's a cheaper center that the Bears can afford, and someone that could be a bridge center if we do get one in the draft. The center draft class this year is really weak. The top three centers are really the only guys that are seen as potential NFL starters: Logan Jones, Sam Hutt, and Connor Liu. Ryan Poles might use one of our second round picks to get one of these top end centers instead of overpaying in free agency. Issue is you just don't know what you're going to get with these guys. My favorite out of these three is Sam Hutt, but I love the notes on Logan Jones. This man plays like he's got a mortgage and 2 kids. That's grown man effort. Love that. I'd gladly take a center that has grown man effort. Issue with Logan is he is 25. He'll be really old as a rookie. I like the move of drafting a center this year. Linemen take about 2 to 3 years to come into their own, and I think that aligns with the window that the Bears are trying to set up for a Super Bowl push to potentially go all in next offseason. But with draft picks, you just don't know if they're going to hit. So it's kind of a gamble at that point. Next up on my wish list is John Franklin Myers, interior D lineman from the Denver Broncos. John's going to be 30 this upcoming season, but this dude would elevate this D line so much, especially in the interior. He is so strong. He's great against the run. He can rush the passer. He'd be a huge complementary fit to Sweat and Booker in the inside. Being able to collapse the interior pocket and allowing Tez and Booker to win on the outside easily. The issue is he is 30 and he might be a little too pricey for the Bears, but if the Bears could somehow get him, I think this D-line gets significantly better and this defense in general gets a lot better as well. Last on my wish list of free agent targets is Nick Ross, strong safety from the Indianapolis Colts. Nick is only 25 years old, and this is a move that could potentially be made if we don't re-sign Brisker. I think he's a great tackler. He's good in coverage. He's got good hips and good feet. And if he's paired alongside with Kevin Byard, I think that'd be a very good safety combo on the back end of this defense. Nick is really fast. He plays against the run really well. He's pretty good in coverage. The only issue I've seen with him on film is sometimes he's not disciplined. He'll be trying to do too much, jumping into gaps that aren't his, allowing the running back to cut back into the gap that he's supposed to fill and go for a big gain. Sometimes he's running into his own linebackers, getting in their way, causes a huge gain for the offense. And in coverage, there's sometimes miscommunications and or just plain out misassignments that he makes where it leads to an open touchdown. But he's had some great reps against Puka in the run game, and he's beaten out tight ends one-on-one also in the run game. Obviously, he's a smaller safety, so he can get kicked out by said tight ends and O-linemen in some cases, but I think he's a super young, talented player that could potentially become a very solid safety. So those are my wish list free agents. If we sign any of those, I'll be over the moon and excited to see them in a Bears uniform. Some other targets I can see the Bears going after is Reed Blankenship, safety from the Eagles. If we don't get Byard, I feel like Blankenship would be a good free safety. He was a staple in the Eagles Super Bowl defense. He did struggle a lot last year in coverage. He's young, he's 27. He can always prove that last year was just a fluke and bounce back and be better. I think Dane Blento is also a young safety that we could potentially sign. I think he'd be more of a dime package, so if we don't get CJ Garner-Johnson, he might be someone that we could potentially sign for a cheap deal. I think a linebacker that we can target is Leo Chanel from the Kansas City Chiefs. Super young player, 25 years old. He's a run stopper linebacker, so he'd be good on first and second down. He's not great in coverage. He wasn't really tested in coverage all that much. I think he was a linebacker that would come off the field in their nickel dime personnel, and he's not a great pass rusher, so he might not be the best fit in Dennis Allen's system. But again, young, explosive, strong linebacker that we desperately need help with. I think with him and DeMarco Jackson, Ruben Hippolyte could potentially be a good trio of run-stopping linebackers, but we desperately need help in coverage, so Dennis might just go nickel personnel as the base package, and Leo's there to help on obvious run situations. But I think he's a young, strong linebacker that the Bears could potentially sign. And then lastly, on the defensive side, Kingsley Egnagbare could be a potential DN that we can sign for a cheap deal. He played for the Packers. He has a very high motor. He's strong. He's physical. I like him as a potential rotational piece. He had a couple great plays against the Bears that popped out on film, which made me notice him. I think if we can get him for a cheap deal, he'll be a good rotational DN. Gets us younger, gets a decent pass rusher, but also a good run stopper. Now on the offensive side, there's only two players that I kind of have my eye on that are not really necessary moves, but would be kind of nice to have. First off is Kenneth Gainwell. This is assuming that we move on from Swift. If we run it back with Swift and Monangai, I'm happy with that. I think that's a great running back duo. I would like to reverse the roles though, with having Monangai be the first and second down back and Swift being the change of pace kind of guy, but that's just my personal opinion. But if we were to trade Swift away and cut him to save more money in the cap, Kenneth Gainwell is a great running back that I think we can get for a very cheap deal. He proved on the Steelers when Warren was out with injury that he can be an all game kind of running back, take all the carries, and he's a great pass catcher. I think him and Manungai would be an amazing dynamic running back duo. You have Manungai first and second down, and Kenneth Gainwell as the changeup. That's a great pass catcher on third down. And then Ben Johnson's offense could be really utilized as a receiving threat, which is really scary and exciting to think about. If we have a dynamic, explosive receiving running back, whoo, imagine what Ben can cook up with a running back like that. But again, this is assuming that we move on from Swift. He's not a player that will sign on to be a third back, in my opinion. And then also on the Steelers, Calvin Austin, wide receiver. Oh man, I get excited thinking about this guy potentially being on the Bears. Again, I think we could get him for a very cheap deal, $5 to $8 million a year. He's a traditional slot receiver, which allows Rome and Luther to kind of just be the outside guys. Obviously, they can all rotate, but Austin is that slot receiver that is a burner. He can blow the top off of a defense. He runs his routes at 110 miles per hour, and if he gets the ball in his hand and has space to move, well, look out. This guy can run. I love the idea of him being in a Zacchaeus kind of role, and Ben Johnson being able to use Austin, Luther, Rome, Loveland, Kmet, all as receiving threats. Oh, one of them's going to be open and one of them's going for a lot of yards. But obviously he's a piece that isn't necessary. But if we're looking for a more traditional slot receiver, Calvin Austin is the guy I would love to see us sign. All right, now let's get into it. Talk of the town. Do the Bears repeat 2018 by trading for a elite Raiders defensive end? Giving up 2 first-round picks, it's just too rich for me. This is a very all-in move when the Bears are not ready to go all in. In another year or two, maybe, but the Bears just aren't at that position to be making this kind of move. And have we not learned anything from 2018? Like, going all in gets you 1 magical season, 2 playoff seasons, and then 5 years of absolute misery. Like, I'm good. I don't want to do that again. I'm happy where we're at. I'm happy with how Ryan Poles is running this stuff. This move also goes against Ryan Poles' philosophy of building in the draft and signing free agents that make sense. Granted, a couple of his free agents haven't turned out really well, like $20 million to Deo. Brother, I could have told you that wasn't going to work out. But also $20 million to Grady. Come on. I get it. Last season we had the money. It made sense. We needed to fortify our D-line, but those 2 moves have really hindered our ability to make moves this offseason. As exciting as Maxx Crosby in a Bears uniform would be, it just doesn't make any sense, and I don't think it'll happen. I think Ryan's going to go into the draft because there's allegedly a deep D-line draft class. I would hope that he acquires more draft picks and use the draft to get younger, better defensive players. And that's what I got. If I was the Bears GMs, those are the free agents I'm targeting, I'm re-signing, and the moves I'm making. I'd love to hear your comments and what you think about it in the comments below. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, bear down, Chicago Bears.